In part 2 of our program, we introduced Mullá Husayn. Well, one day, a few hours before sunset, Mullá Husayn's eyes fell upon a young man of radiant countenance. The youth advanced toward Mullá Husayn and greeted him with a smile of loving welcome. He embraced Mullá Husayn with tender affection, as though he had been an intimate and lifelong friend. At first, Mullá Husayn thought him to be a follower of Siyyid Kázim. Mullá Husayn joins us now in the studio. Thank you very much for joining us here.
Thank you for having me.
Can you please tell us a bit about your first encounter with this youth?
First of all, thank you for having me in your program. I'd like to apologize, being a Persian, not being able to express myself fully in English. So, forgive my shortcomings. My encounter with that distinguished youth, he extended to me a very warm invitation to visit his home, to get rid of my, trip fatigue and to refresh. So I tried to excuse myself. I said, I have a companion, they are waiting for me, I have to go and be with them, they'll be waiting for me. His answer to me was, commit them to the care of God. He surely will protect and watch over them. Having spoken these words, he turned and bade me to follow him. Soon after, we were standing in front of a very modest, nice house. He said again, enter the room in peace, secure.
Wow, what did you think of this youth's invitation to go to his house?
At the beginning, as you said, I was thinking that this youth is one of the Sayyid's students or followers, and he heard about me coming. But his invitation, uttered with power and majesty, really penetrated my soul. I took it as a nice or as a positive sign that maybe this invitation will bring me closer to my aim, to my goal. So during the hour of prayer afterwards, when we were standing side by side and saying the prayer, I prayed to God, oh my God, I have striven with all my soul and until now have failed to find thy promised messenger. I testify that thy word faileth not and that thy promise is sure. About an hour after sunset, my host began to converse with me. He said, whom after Siyyid Kázim do you regard as your leader? I answered him, at the hour of his death, Siyyid Kázim exhorted each one of us to forsake our home, to scatter far and wide in quest of the promised beloved. I have journeyed to Persia, and I am still engaged in my quest. He said again, has your teacher given you any detailed indications as to the distinguishing feature of the promised one? I enumerated all the signs that Siyyid Kázim had told us to look for in the beloved one of God. My host paused for some time. Then with a vibrant voice, he startled me with these words. Behold, all these signs are manifested in me. He then carefully considered each one of above signs separately and conclusively demonstrated that each and all were indeed applicable to his person. I was greatly surprised and deeply moved. Politely observed, he whose advent we await is a man of unsurpassed holiness, and the cause he is to reveal is a cause of tremendous power. As if I was challenging, that. So, no sooner that I said these words, I felt I found myself seized with fear and remorse, such as I could neither conceal nor explain. I bitterly reproved myself and resolved to alter my attitude and to soften my tone. I vowed to God that should my host again refer to the subject, I would, with the utmost humility, answer him and say, if you be willing to substantiate your claim, you will most assuredly deliver me from the anxiety and suspense which so heavily oppress my soul. I shall truly be indebted to you for such deliverance.
Mullá Husayn, how did you know he was the promised one?
That's a $64,000 question. You know, I had in my mind two signs, two standards where I hoped to be able to determine the truth of whoever claimeth to be the great messenger. The first was a book which I had composed myself. It dealt with the most difficult hidden teachings of Shaykh Ahmad and Siyyid Kázim. Whoever seemed capable of unraveling its mysteries would then be put to the test of revealing the commentary on the chapter of Joseph. While I was thinking about these things, my distinguished host again remarked, observe attentively. Might not the person intended by Siyyid Kázim be none other than I? I was so surprised, I was so shaken, I thereupon left impelled to offer him my own book. I said, will you read this book of mine? I asked him humbly, and look at its pages with indulgent eyes. He opened the book, glanced briefly on certain pages, closed it, and began to speak with me. Within minutes, he unraveled all its mysteries and resolved all the problems that had troubled me for so long. Then he exclaimed, by the righteousness of God, it behooves in this day the peoples and the nations of both the East and the West to hasten to this threshold. It behooves them to arise as earnestly and spontaneously as you have arisen, and to seek with determination and constancy the promised beloved. Then he looked at me, smiled, and he said, now is the time to reveal the commentary on the chapter of Joseph. It all happened just as Siyyid Kázim had foretold me. The beloved, in that hour, he had promised, will reveal the commentary on the story of Joseph unasked. So the Bab took his pen and revealed the entire first chapter of the commentary on the chapter of Joseph. The overpowering effect of the manner in which he wrote was heightened by the gentle intonation of his voice which accomplished his writing. Not for a moment did he interrupt the flow of the verses which streamed from his pen. Not once did he pause until it was